fantastic. It actually decided to work this time. Hi, I'm Mutation CIP, and welcome back to Passion SMP. That's what we're going to be doing today. We defeated the Ender Dragon this morning. That's going to be in the coming next week's video. That should be up, if I remember dates correctly, the 24th. And I want to make a submarine. But I need Enderman spawners for that. Don't ask. Do ask, actually. I have an idea for a farm. And I want to build it in the port, which is a farm shopping space, because you don't have to really spawn-proof as much when you build in the ocean. So we have a little boat in the middle of nowhere ocean, and I want to add a submarine Enderman farm to it. And I have some ideas for that, but I need to get Enderman spawners in the first place. So that's a whole lot of fun here, there, everywhere. And let me do things that I have forgotten. Yes, I'm aware. Thank you, StreamCord. You are fantastic. Yes, I am aware. Can I just yoink? Can I just yoink that link? Copy. Thank you. Close. The stream does not like me having all this stuff open. I knew it does not. And Boston. There we go. And let me get rid of Discord, because it really doesn't... I know it doesn't like me having it. Oh, I didn't hear the metal pipe. Hi, Billy Bob. Let me... I don't have it set up correctly right now, because I changed to a different... Hi, Carry On! I changed to a different headphone. The way I have a bunch of these set up so I can actually hear them is they're specifically connected to my headphones. Let me change that. I need to be able to also hear... I cannot hear that either right now. Filters! Let me actually hear the thing. These. Hello! Hello, everybody. Hi. Hi. Let me... I'm not hearing the dings. I'm not hearing the dings. Alerts? Probably... Did I change the things properly, accordingly, as I should? I can't tell. Is it filters on this? It should be hearing. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. I have not tested anything. I have new headphones finally that don't burn the side of my face, and I'm very pleased about it, but I forgot that means I do have to change all the filters. Let me hear the things. Yes, I can hear it. 3.6k points. Ooh. Oh yeah, I did change around some of the sound alerts, so they're point-spaced. Of course, there's a 69 nice. I did pull... There's two sounds I pulled from recordings from the videos that I really adored, which was perfect, and it's a full cookie! So those are up there too. And I think... Yeah, there's some sound alerts that are a little more like a new hand touches the beacon. Metal pipe Carl that kills people. And I think that's about it. Yes. Oh, the Fitness Grand Pacer test is 10,000. There was a 10-minute version that I was gonna add. It wouldn't let me. Sound alerts refused to let that one work, so we do not have that one. But we do have the full Fitness Grand Pacer test for 10,000 points. If I got the 10-minute one, it was gonna be like 100,000 points or some shit. I don't remember what I was gonna set it to. If you're going to the end, can I give you netherite or diamonds to get me Elytra? I can get you one, but we have looters, so the Elytra is a looter item frame, so it's actually pretty easy to get to. There's one semi, but not too far away. There's no bridging to get over to it. There is an Elytra near the first end gate. So let's hop right in, because we don't have a normal end. We do not. I can't see any of it because I had to turn my render distance down. I love so much. It's not a normal end. The beautiful thing. I'm just scared to go exploring in the Endfell one. That's fair. I do plan on exploring a bunch, so I can get you another one, but to show... Hey, you respawned. I do? Oh, I think, yeah, I re-added Respawning Shulkers again, so we have that again. so shulkers aren't a huge problem. But this little item frame. And did that only gave me one. So something's broken somewhere. But I wanna, there's little dungeons like this. This is what I need. Those have Enderman boys. They have the Ender boys that I wish for. And you know what, fuck it, we're gonna be, this is gonna be a venturing one. We're just gonna be roaming. No endies? No endies? Okay, we're good. I'm gonna say, fuck it. And we're gonna play some music. I should have the settings correct. That we can do live music. I think I made sure of that. Yes. We do have Twitch track. Blah, 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 blah. If I could speak English, that'd be great. It'd be fantastic. Where music? Music, make sure you're on correct track. So I don't get in trouble later and I can't use any of this footage. I just want to see the tracks. Music, not on 2. Fantastic, perfect. Where? Whomst of, where? Jams 2, electric boogaloo, shuffle. Shuffle that shit. Loop. And we're gonna turn that down. And we'll refigure out the correct settings I need for music again. I need a song I can actually hear to get this started. And yeah, that should be good. I saw on the map, there's a little spot of endstone right there. I want to check that out, because I'm almost certain that's going to be a dungeon. Also, congrats on the 36-day streak, Billy Bob. I hate not being able to see anything. I'm gonna turn on Voxy. But Voxy's gonna lag out the stream even more. It is, I know it is. We're gonna try running with Voxy a little bit. We're gonna see how much it angers the stream. Run around. You know what, I'm gonna... It is lag. Nope, never mind. It is the lag. It is very much so. Okay. We're gonna go the good old turn up the render distance ever so slightly and see how that handles. That is actually pretty good. Also, I'm gonna do it. Yep. Open. And we updated the mod pack a few nights ago. So we have my statuses again, so I can boop. Or, no, I need streaming, not recording. So now on the tab, I got my little thing up there. And I did also re-add tab, the mod, so I could customize the tab list a little bit. There you are. What are you? You're stupid mites. I don't care about the stupid mites. You suck. You don't even have a shulker for me. I don't know where you went. There you are. Give me that. Taking that with me. That's what you get for being mean. I can't specifically look for those little structures, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to remember that's there. Hello, Bookish. Thank you for the cranberries. Hi, hello. Let me pop down for a sec, because I have, if we yoink it from this bad boy, because I don't want to lose him, even though I probably wouldn't. Yeah, well, we should be fine. I'm not expecting to die a horrid death. But no one expects that, so who knows. Let's yoink that. I'm gonna throw you. And keep extra set. Is that everything? Yes. I want to check out some of the end structures around. Specifically, I do want to go to an ancient end city. I know there's a city with it. The mine shaft does not have the enderman I want. There's an end outpost. I haven't gone to the end outpost, I don't think. And shipwrecks we're aware of. I want to visit the end stronghold as well. Meow. I want to visit end stronghold, and I believe that's supposed to be pretty far away. Yeah, it's 9,000 that away. So we're gonna slowly make our way over. Whatever I find along the way, I find along the way. It's gonna be so much fun. How much diamond shadow? Immediately. I'm not sure how I'm surprised. Whoop. Boink. Let world load. Because it's not gonna be happy if I don't. Also, we had so many crashes and so many problems and annoyances with the server this weekend. And dealing with pets specifically. Because we tried to update better dogs, and in doing so, it made the server crash immediately. Couldn't even get the thing working. So I tried going back to the old version, still wouldn't work, so we had to get rid of it completely. And then that finally fixed it, and Misty's like, oh, let's do these tameable foxes instead. And that worked. It was just a quick add-on, there was no dependencies, it didn't need anything else. But suddenly, we're all doing just normal stuff and the server crashes. And after, at this point, I'm like, I gotta go make lunch. I can't handle this right now. I'll get back and fix it when I can. Get back, and we're trying to figure out what it could possibly be, because it's saying literally everything is wrong. It's pointing its finger at everything but whatever the actual cause is. And I end up adding another mod to help us fix, because it's saying ticking entity error. That could be a lot of things. We're trying to slowly figure all of this out and figure out what's going on. And Ari comes up with the idea, hey, maybe it's the fox. The fox is on the other side of the portal. Because they had a tameable fox and they crashed right outside the portal. They could not log on the server. They were soft locked. Maybe it's the fox. We completely remove the fox. It fixes it. Today, we're going through the end, and me and Axe can't get in. Literally everything gone wrong today. Oh no. I know several people whose lives have just been thrown into absolute fucking chaos. That was my last live stream, because I could not get it started. I could not start it at all. I was amazed that this one did today, because I changed it back to the settings that didn't work last time. And I'm like, yeah, whatever happens, I'll deal with it. But then it just went live, so it's fine. It's today, something's wrong with it. Today's off. I don't know, it's been weird. Me and Axe couldn't get into the end, and we got soft locked. And we're trying to figure it out, and I go on to... I have two versions of the mod pack. My own, and then the base one is the one I give to everybody else, so they can add their own mods or just use the base one. I log on to the base one, it's fine. I log into mine, can't do it. So me and Axe are trying to, like, pool our mods, like, what do we still have? I'm like, okay, first things first, let's test. Are there any mods that we shouldn't have right now that we need to delete real quick? We both still had the tameable foxes. Of course it was the foxes. That was the reason we couldn't get on. So for some reason, the foxes do not like you going from dimension to dimension. And they are horrible. They are absolutely horrid. Also, before I forget, I'm gonna sip my latte. Oh, my half latte, half Americano. I don't know. It is what it is. It's delicious, though. That is the entire reason I was late to stream. I was several minutes late. Yes, I strongly recommend you remove the Fox mod shadow. I strongly recommend it. Going through actual portals has been hell, and it's been soft-locking a lot of people. So for a little bit, for the next little while until I'm sure no one has it, if anybody crashes, I'm just gonna ask, hey, do you have the Fox mod? Do you need to get rid of the Fox mod? Cause it's probably that. It probably is. Time for me to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Billy Bob. Have a good night. Is this doing alright? Yeah, it's doing fine. I'm amazed I haven't seen any. Hey! Streamer luck on my side. Hello, hello, hello. Hello there. Hello, peoples. You ready for the scriddle? Scriddle. I don't even know how I pronounce that one. Scriddle. Scriddle. Nope. Huzzah. The last thing I need to crash is going in my nether roof portal. Yeah. I strongly do not recommend. Protection, fortune unbreaking. I want the saddle. Give me the saddle. Thank you. Saddles for moi. There we go. And there's your Elytra shadow that I will get to you when I can. Alright, get on. Do you have chests? Do you have chests? No, you do not. You are but a pitiful structure. I wasn't even wondering what that, if I was gonna see any structure period. I'm trying to figure out where some of the dungeons are. Because that's the thing I really care about. What I'm hoping is I'll see... That's another city. I'll see some of the dungeons as we explore through here, but I haven't seen a one. Usually they poke out a little bit. Not always, but a lot of the time they tend to poke their little head out. What's occurred here? What is... That is what's occurred. We're just gonna not even bother. I simply wish to check the looter and steal your ender chest. I want this. No. No. Not allowed. I forgot I still had that on. Lovely, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do need diamonds. I need to remember I don't actually have a lot of those. I do, in fact, need them. I don't have any. I haven't bothered with diamond mining at all. I got the bare necessities, and then when I got really fed up, I actually started enchanting stuff. There's nothing here. I do need shulkers a little bit. I'm not super worried about it. It's like, if I can get my hands on some, I would like to. Let me wank this. Nope. Don't care. I will pay you for elytra and diamonds. I would appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. I need to sit down and just do netherite. That's another thing. I need to write on my list to get netherite done. Because it's literally just, I did not have the time to do a damn thing last week. Literally the video that went out today, I recorded in a 5-hour session on Friday. That was it. That's all that happened. That's all that occurred at all. Mostly me messing with Axe and Lilac. And then I went and made lunch and came back and got some stuff done. AKA, I literally decorated Amethyst Geode and that's all I had time for. I wanna see, is there creativity, please? You don't have a single dungeon in here? Oh, no, you do! It's way over there. Okay. So, unfortunately, in more recent versions, the small dungeon, you cannot /locate it as a structure anymore. I don't know why they decided that was a good idea, but that's what they decided. Auto smelter! Nice! I need to do that. I'm moving around a bunch of my rooms. The last thing I recorded is I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Because I had an XP farm kind of laid out, but I didn't really want to do it anymore. Where's... Oh, it's over there. But I figured out something I really like the idea of that should work well and actually makes it accessible for people coming to visit and like steal my XP farm a little bit. And it can match my greenhouse on the other side. So we're gonna do a tinted glass greenhouse and make that my XP farm. And I'm still gonna do Enderman Submarine XP farm as well. I'm really hoping. Are you mighty? Because you could be... So the thing is, I can't tell until I start destroying stuff. Because there could be a spawner right here, but there can also still be... You're an Enderman spawner! Thank you! Fantastic. Purple blocks. I'll grab Malohi. Axe is collecting music discs. We'll see if she wants it. This is why we check. But I finally have an idea of what I want to do. And I'm so glad I spent the time on that geode, because it's actually come really in handy. It looks beautiful, it's very functional. I took a lot of damage from that. There's one boy over there. Can I even tell? Can I tell from a distance so I don't have to waste my time? Especially if it doesn't even have within it. No, you're just fine? Okay. You have 2 looters. They're all mites. I do not care. I wish not, but for naught. Enderman. I wish for but not Enderman. But wish for but Enderman? How word that? How would one word such a thing? That is a question. That is a thought on my mind that I cannot figure. English is such a weird language when you pick it apart. English language is a joke, both in the sense of what the hell, this is a joke, and also, if you dare pick it apart, it stops making sense. The moment you try and explain it, suddenly all of it comes crashing down. Because you can't really explain why it's a big red elephant and not a red big elephant. It just is. There's not really any grammatical rule to it. That just sounds better. I don't know why that is, but that is the thing. Also, I'm going to show off it's over here. I'm not walking the right way at all. There's a dead biome. This is why I love NullScape. This is one of the biomes it adds. It's a beautiful dead biome full of phantoms made of dead coral and bone blocks. That's so cool. I love it. And my cat's snoring. I'm hoping he's sleeping good. Took him on a walk today. There we go. It's probably not one here. It's too thin to do. Yeah. Only 4,000 more to go. Hey, wait, hold on. This is a dragon skelly. Hold on. Let's look at... Hey, there's also a dungeon thing there, too. Dungeon thing right there. I'm gonna completely miss this over and over, so I'm gonna go over here instead. Have I angered any bad boys? No. Great. I just want to come over here and look at the dragon skelly. Look at him! That's a structure you can actually go specifically for these. And they just spawn all about the place. I believe they're from NullScape. And where tis right here. Bonk. Is it? Can't tell quite yet. That's an Enderman boy! Which means there's an Endermite under here. Thank you. Diamond. Name tags. Yes, please. I need all the name tags I can get. Take the gunpowder as well. End rods are annoying, so I'm gonna start collecting those. I don't know if I'll ever use them. I used them once last season. But I'm still gonna try and collect them. And I'm gonna start hoarding these down here. So I can keep a track of how many I got. And bop. Can I? Whoop. Yes. Fantastic. There we go. There's a full tree. Oh, I didn't even realize they started using pale moss for this. Usually it's just completely empty trees. I haven't played it NullScape with a version that has the pale moss yet. That's a really cool detail. I love that. It fits in perfectly with this biome. Shadowlands. That's what it's called. And my favorite one is... It's like crystal something. Where? There it is. Like, I'm not seeing anything. Where is it? Oh, is this another dragon? It's another dragon! It's kind of awkwardly in here. There we go. Now you can kind of start to see there's a wing here, I guess, and a tail there, and another wing here. I think it face planted. You know when Skyrim dragons are being weird and you hit them down from the sky and they face plant across the ground? I think that's what happened here. It's gotta be it. Hello, you're big enough. Do you potentially have spawners? For me? No, you don't. You suck. You are annoying. That is a thing. Okay, cool. Genuinely cool. We love it. Love to see it. We don't love to hear the phantoms, but we love to see it. Nether dragon boy coming up on my radar somewhere. Below. Way down below. There we go. I can't ever tell if it's the ground's above or below me. Nether draggy. What? Nether dragon. Please. Pretty please. Just load the world. That is all I ask of ye. Wait, did I see? I did see a C. It's a mite. And I am assuming with no shulker. Completely worthless to me. Hey, nice. Pretty biome. Pretty things. NullScape is definitely best enjoyed with wings or some sort. What me and Axe did to get around at first, until we got our elytras, was using the iron wings we have. There's a saddle you can... Excuse me. I'm trying to explain a thing. Leave me alone. Just hop down here for a sec. You can craft these iron wings. And it's basically just a flying saddle. It doesn't have a whole lot of durability. You can make it netherite, but that's it. You can't put mending on it, you can't put unbreaking on it, but it does let you fly. I do actually need the emeralds, that is nice. That would be nice to have. Can I get down here to the rest of this? Is that allowed? Where? Above me. Is there the other half of this? No, it's just that. Up there. Can I, thank you. Paper, actually, genuinely will take. And books. I do need books for a lot of things. I need it for crafting library stuff. I still need to make Axe her library. I do need feathers for Iron Wing, so I will steal that. Yoink. Actually, do you have, perchance, mayhaps? Is there? There is! There's multiple! You can't hide that from me! I see the dungeons! Where are they? Where are they? Where are you hiding them? I saw them! Where are they? There's one right here. Did I not? Good, I didn't look at them. It's just mites! Just mites. I swear I saw a second one. Maybe I was just seeing that. Maybe I was just seeing the ship. No, there is a second one. There's one right here. Are you? You're all mites. No, there's an endy boy. There's an endy boy. Where? How? What? Get over? This. This how get over. This how do. This is how I do the thing. Corner? Corner here? Yes. Very good. Gib corner. Also, I did more waystone or warp stones. I did a lot of warp stones about the place, so we have way more travel between things now. There are now travel between the north, east, south, and west, as well as travel to the nether and end directly. So people don't have to go all the way to the stronghold and then all the way to the port. Yeah, they can just go straight in onto the end, to the main end island and the nether. And as the season progresses, if... Where? Over here. Yes. As the season progresses, if we need to, then I'll start adding more warp stones per biome. People are actually able to get to my base fairly quickly. Yeah, I added one out there and it happened to be really close. I had no clue exactly where you guys were. I'm like, you know what? This is a good spot to do it. Let's just do it right here. And luckily, these endy boys don't care at all about me taking this. It was pure chance. I'm like, okay, this is a decent spot. This has some river. Let's put this here. Yeah, I'll take some dyes. I'll have to make them. I'll take them. Quartz root. We already got mellow here. Mellow high. It's like right outside the base. Yeah, that was complete accident, but I'm very happy it worked out. Yeah. Not exactly, but close enough is the perfect ratio. Because right now, the one to my base and everybody in the Grove is still a little bit of distance away, but it's like a short horse ride or like a few seconds by Elytra. It's not that far. It's literally down the river. Hey, Hi, are you lonely? No. You have friends. Oh, no, I was hoping it was a friend that didn't spawn. I was hoping you were alone at the party. What a wallflower. Let me. You suck. Thank you. And doink. Just gonna sell off elytras. Come get them. Block a diamond each. Honestly, I might do that. I might just be the transport guy. I'm just gonna sell all of the transport. I mean, hey, why not? I kind of already am doing all the transport stuff. Well, except for Nether Hub, I will not take credit for that one this season. I went on foot and it took me only like 10 minutes. Oh, both of those are exposed. Fantastic. What are you? What are you? What are you? Don't even. What? Oh, is it? Okay. Are you a phantom spawner? Is this what I am to assume? Phantoms? And mites. Wow. What a great combination, he says sarcastically. Throw away the things I do not require. I do not desire. Nether elytra? You know, we're gonna do this if I'm stacking up elytras. Boink. Yoink. And only 1,500 more to go. I've not actually been... I did a quick look-through overview of the stronghold to see if it did have enderman spawners. I think it does, if I remember right. It's those things I mostly care about, but I really wanted to see and actually go through the end stronghold. So I don't think I have, genuinely. I knew it was a structure. We should go check out the Nether stronghold. I need to see what that looks like. Oh wait, hold on. Speaking of stuff. Oh no, never mind. For some reason I thought the enderman on here was the pyramid. Because it looked a lot like the Nether pyramid. I'm like, hey, is that a pyramid? No, it's not. It was not. Hello. Hello there. Hello, buddy boss. You got a chest for me to steal? Yes, you do. You very much do. Thank you. No, thank you. No, I just want to check. No. Tumst. Where? Tust. Homestead. Where? This way. That's where. This way. Steal this. Remove that. Look in here before that guy catches me. You cannot have my number, sir. Not allowed. Not allowed. Can I have yours? No, you're empty. You're all out of numbers. There is chest over here, though. I'm not too worried if I start seeing, like, normal chests and they're not being looters. Because usually you just click on it and it fixes itself. And it realizes, oh wait, hold on, I'm wrong. I'm not doing it right now. What? Where did you catch me? Is it you? Is it you, sir? Yeah, there it goes. It just gotta realize it was being a little bit of a... It was being a little bit of a... Now I'm being a little bit of a... Literally. Horrid. Absolutely horrid. We carry on. Carry on. Oh. Hey, mineshaft! I'm pretty... Oh, and there's the stronghold. I'm pretty certain... Stronghold's back there. I'm pretty certain these do not have enderman spawners. I looked through them a lot. And it's just the mites. But there's also the cards. How much do I care about them? Really? Where are they on my I actually give a fuck scale? I mean, hey, if there's one over here that's easily accessible, which it seems to be, yes, it is. Bonk. Right in my face. Into the glass wall. Apparently I can't parkour. Donk. What? 'Tis cooking pot. I'll take a cooking pot. Take some backup cooking pots. And some rope. And rod. I'll take the extras. I'll take some. Take a little bit. Rice! Thank you! And name tags! Oh, it's gorgeous! It's a beautiful chest. Also, we gotta remember coming to this kind of biome for the glowstone. I gotta remember that one. I'm thinking that's a pillar like some of the mine shafts do, but it's only one pillar. So it almost looks like someone's been here, but I don't think they have. I would be very amazed if someone's already been out this way. We are currently 5,000 and 7,000 blocks out. I don't think anyone's been here yet. We literally killed the dragon today. I don't think anyone's been out here yet. I have serious doubts about that one. Anyway, stronghold. I have no idea how I'm supposed to get into this thing. It is made of obsidian. I have no idea. What do they expect me to do? I spent the last like hour and a half making food. I have so many sandwiches and dumplings. Ooh, food prep. Oh. Also, what's with the... Okay, there's a spot right here I can sneak into. I think that's a glitch, though. What's with the chains? Something, something, that one song? How much can you deconstruct a reference before... What? How much can you deconstruct a reference while it still makes sense? And have it still make sense? Words. Clearly, I do not have them. This feels like it's decorated more like a prison than a stronghold, which I find rather interesting with that direction. It reminds me of the pipeline, though. No. Back away. I like being prepared for everything. That's fair. I'm gonna have a fun time. We're redoing the kitchen next month. And we're redoing the floors, we're redoing the walls, we're redoing the ceiling. So I gotta figure out how, somehow, some way to do food during all that. So that's gonna be fun. Hey, I haven't gotten that yet. Nice. Is this just Death Trap? Where have you hidden the spawner for this? Just naturally spawned, okay. Just natural little pests. Ooh. Aha! Also not letting me play my Minecraft parodies. Already. I need to get flame on this thing. Flame does do extra damage. I need to get flame on this. Oh hey, this is another entrance. There we go. Nice. Cool design, bro. I need my bow. You suck. All of you. All of y'all. Oh, thank you, actually. That's actually very helpful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice. Where did you go? You're over here. There we go. No, not allowed. Said not allowed. Thank you. Can you drop me? Pretty please? Thank you. What do you mean y'all got over here? No. Y'all suck. I wanted to zoom this in so I can actually see what's going on. And take a sip of my latte. I don't have a sweeping weapon. I went full in on the scriddle. And I need to now make a sword because there are things I cannot do with a scriddle. It is its own thing. It is not a replacement sword. As much as I wish for it to be. I don't even know if it can have Sweeping Edge on it. I haven't gotten Sweeping Edge yet. I'm trying to find Sweeping Edge. I haven't gotten that yet. What do you... You were not here 2 seconds ago. Open your little face. Oh, you two keep hitting each other. That's why. Come on. Oh, it was lag. Of course it was. And they're gone. Okay, there's a couple openings around. I don't think they're meant to be here, but there are several. So water bucket required when exploring this thing. Unless you want to bring a bunch of extra blocks. Where? Nothing. Would you like a Sweeping Edge book? I have 2 and neither me or Azrael will use it. Yeah, I would love a Sweeping Edge book. That's one of the last things I'm missing. I just need Fire Aspect and Sweeping Edge and I pretty much have a full squiddle. Boop, give me that. Amethyst shards, yes please. I'm using literally all... I need to just AFK the next several days. So I can slowly build up enough to make my own XP farm. No, that's not what I want to do. I want this one. There we go. Hello there. I picked up the shulker. I mean, that's one way to do it. It was not my intended manner, but... 'twas a way. Can I just say no? I can just say no. I could just say no. This is a little... It's a little bit... I just want to stop floating. Oh, hey, smith template. Bundle. I already have a... you know what? I'll take another bundle. We'll continue the bundle of bundles. Maul. That's a good one, but it does have Curse of Vanishing, and I already have one at home. We have sword at home. We have knife at home. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, we're gonna farm these bad boys right here. Well, we're gonna attempt to farm them right here. There we go. Ah, well. Too much damage, very upset. Oh, hello. 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 Goodbye. Thank you. By the way, it is also a mod that is allowing me to get most of the time 2 shulkers. Sometimes it hasn't been quite working and not giving me the full 2 that it should. But in large part, the shulkers are supposed to give you 2 every time. Oh, lovely. Y'all suck. Can I one-shot with a bow? Just about, okay. We're using the bow on the mites. Whatever's the easiest. Yep. Let me up. Entrance over here, noted. Lodestone. They're not as useful anymore. If it was still the old version where they're really expensive for no reason. What? Enderman. Oh, I started picking them up at some point. Because I was crouching. I was like, we don't have the heads this season. We didn't do that. I'm almost out of arrows. We didn't do that this season. They were really annoying last season, so that's why I didn't add them again. They clogged up so many farms. All the time. What is happening? Are they multiplying out here? Yes, yes they are. Oh my god. Yes, they are. Absolutely. That sounds like a... that sounds like a not me problem right now. That sounds like a not me problem. I could go down this way, why not? There's nothing here. Well, it kind of is, but there's also nothing. Boop. Boop. What? Dead end. Of course it is. Great. That's dead end. This is something. The shulker. You suck. Doink. Let me down. I want the shulker boxes. I want to start replacing the bundles. Most of the bundles in my backpack are shulker boxes. And that was it here. Lovely. I know there's a spawner in that thing, but I don't particularly care. Yep. Let me up. I do appreciate that even though it is meant to kind of be a carbon copy, it is its own thing. Absolutely. That is an amazing knife. I'm gonna grab that in case somebody wants that. Or we could possibly, if I do specifically a spider XP farm, I could throw it in there. I wanna start keeping the shulker shells kind of separate as well. Do all that like a saw. Doink. Nice. And back up. I need to get a I don't have a Fletcher. I need to get a Fletcher going. Excuse? That's rude. Very rude. If you don't want the knife, I'll give you the diamonds for it. Sure, yeah. Because I have my own knife, I don't plan on using it as my main weapons at all. The only... Wait. We have enchanting things now. I could get the Bane Arthropods off of it. I was forgetting about that. Because I love all of this except for the Bane. So I can just take the Bane off of it. That is a thought. Oh, hey, this room. I want to use a looter down there. You're a looty boy. You... Can't crit. There we go. What you got? A little bit of diamonds. I've already gotten a lot of coarse fruit. Honestly though, I care more about fortune with my knife. I will give you so many diamonds. Alright. I will happily give away the knife then. Because all I care, I already have my own fortune boy thing. So I don't particularly need it either. What? Oh. I just wanna itch my nose. I just wanna itch my nose. It's allergy season, bro. Let me itch my nose. There we go. Ooh. I finally got my new glasses! They finally showed up! I'm very happy. Depth perception is so amazing. It's fantastic. I've only had it for a few days, but it's fantastic. There's a spawner right here. And that's why I'm having problems. This spawner. But depth perception is so good. And I'm very, very glad to have it. I'm still kind of walking around, literally just my day-to-day life, looking at the ground and getting used to properly perceiving the ground below me. First couple days I felt like I was walking around with a fisheye lens, but it's so nice. I can see the world as it was intended. As I should have been my whole life, but I haven't. How many are in there? How many are there? Okay, it's just the one guy who's struggling. Imagine having depth perception. If you have glasses, check your prescription. It might be wrong. You could have dry eyes, and it could be affecting your prescription your entire life. That was my problem. It was just that one little problem, and then suddenly my prescription is fantastic. And it actually got better. The only thing that got worse was my astigmatism. There we go. Y'all, you know what? I wasn't gonna deal with it. I'm gonna get rid of you. You're annoying. Are they still continuously multiplying down there? Yes, they are. Oh my god, they're still going. You know, just gonna, excuse me. Trying to find new places to exist. We're just kind of in... Did I go loot that one? No, I did not. That is a new one. Oh, they made a poor endermite float. Gimme. Thank you. Get out of here. Out of here. Y'all suck. So much. You know what, we're running right through this, I'm gonna do chest plate. It's gonna be easier on me. What are y'all doing? Out of here. One tells the truth, the other tells lies. I think that one's the liar. Can we just not? Can we not? Can we not? Can we not? Hey, that's the end room. Can we not? Just gonna try. Can I get out? Thank you, Nightbot. Can I leave? Thank you. There's a room back here that I wish to be in. Oh no, they're multiplying downstairs. It's exacerbating the problem extremely. Come on, let me down. No. No. At least I picked up the shells, but jeez, annoying. Please, just let me, thank you. No. I need to get down the ladder. Can't even get down the ladder. Don't even think about it. Just this side right now. Oh, there's... Oh, you suck! I just wanna go down! There is a shulker problem here that I'm trying to handle. You all are worse than the mites. And the mites are the literal pest here. Literal. Bad boy hit him right here. Apparently the mite. No. No, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't eat. Why? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I'm trying. I just want to get down and get the loot. I just want to get the loot, but no, there's dozens and dozens of shulkers. Can you literally just not for like 2 seconds? Literally, if I could just get down. If I could just get down, that'd be fantastic. The moment I can, I'm just gonna try. I just wanna talk. I just wanna talk. I just wanna talk. Come on. Just try and slowly deal with the shulker menace. I don't have enough. They're still multiplying. You are bunnies. You just are. Can I literally... Okay, there's another one. Y'all are hitting a bunch of yourselves, thankfully, right now. Cool. Lagging. Okay, get down, get down, get down, get down. I'm down. Okay, all the ones down here handle themselves. Can't open that because there's a stupid chain. Okay. Now to find out if all of that was even worth it. What do you mean? Stop multiplying. Just teleport away at this point. Thank you. What do you mean? No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I request the end of your kind. I request the end of this chaos. Can I just... No. No. Safety for but a moment. As everything occurs outside. Wait, hold on, you had fire aspect. I'm gonna keep an eye out, see if I can find a sword that has fire aspect 2 on it, and I can steal the enchant from it. That is a thought in my head. It is lagging so bad from the pure amount. Oh my god. This is just a hell. It is just... What is occurred here? What has occurred? I want to check out this amethyst rooms, but what has occurred here? There's another one down here! How do you steal enchantments? We had a new mod where you could put it into a grindstone. That's not gonna help me. We had a new mod where you could put it into a grindstone, and doing so with a book will strip the first enchantment onto the book. And you can do this with a bunch of other books as well. You could do this with all enchantment books. I could show it off in a little bit once I deal with the freaking menace. I'm gonna sell shulkers. This is what's gonna happen from this. I'm just gonna sell shulkers. So what do you mean? What do you mean? I need to be purely doing as many crits as I can possibly manage. So what do you mean? What do you... No, no, no. Stop that. Stop. No, 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 no. No, you are brand new. You were literally just born. No. No, you suck. All of you. All of you. I literally just killed all the ones that were over here. I just did. I know I just did. You don't get to do that. No. There's another one. There's another one. But if I don't kill the ones over here, it's gonna be worse to kill the ones over there. So I need to try and get as many as I can as I go. It doesn't help. It's lagging so bad. So much. I don't think it's a pop. There's more over here doing it. There's more over here. Oh my god. You know what, we're gonna grab the axe as well. The axe, I think, is gonna be slightly faster than the squirrel. Let me at least get over so I can do this. There we go. Yes. Because the axe, I did get sharpness on it. It doesn't have looting, but it does have sharpness. No, stop that. There we go. I don't care about the stupid mites trying to get me, as long as I can get to all the freaking shulkers. What do you mean this? Okay, it's just that guy. It's just that bad boy. No more over here. We're good on that. I'm getting rid of the thing that you were standing on. Okay, apparently that did the trick as well. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Thank you. They're still multiplying out there, but at least I handled all the ones that were in here. I'm lagging. Are you kidding me? I'm not allowed to speak. If I dare speak on the Shulker Menace, they're gonna bring more. They're gonna bring reinforcements. I just want to get rid of spawner. There's a spawner behind me for the mites. I wish to dispose of it. No. No, 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 no. Thank you. Why are there so many? Why? Why did you feel the need to be such this way? I don't have the time to wait for crits either, because they're just multiplying all the time. There's already 3 more in here. Okay, that one. And then this bad boy, which lets me get down to... Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This one. There's already another one in here. Don't even think about it, you mofo. Okay. There's already another one. There's already another one. I don't think there's an end to this. I really don't. I do want to get a second stack so I can have a stack of shulker boxes, but I don't think there's an end to it. You know what might be a contributing factor towards me getting as many shulkers as I can is actually using my looting tool. There's already another one in here. I haven't had the time to eat, so I can regen. Come on. There's already another one. That's a third. Can y'all stop multiplying? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a stronghold, alright. Stronghold for the damn shulkers. I just want to collect my full 2 stacks of shells, and I'll be on my way. We'll just move on over. We're gonna exit through one of the windows as fast as I possibly can manage. And that's how we're gonna leave. There's already 3 over here. They need to make an enchantment against levitation. They need to make a boot enchantment called, like, Heavy Foot or something. Still can't get to the... Okay, there's a shulker down there, but he died. He's fine. Or moved over here. I don't know. Probably moved. Okay. Well, I can. There's more guys over here. I can't even get down to pick up all the shulkers. Oh my goodness. What is this? It's just endless shulkers. Like, I guess this is a farm, sure. I now have a netherite spear. I wish I had a netherite sword for this. I should have invested in a sword. I did not. I see now why I may need to retire the scriddle. They're all spawning on the floor, so I can't even get to them because they keep giving me levitation. How many are there? How many are there? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to break out through the goddamn... Oh, it's lagging bad. How can I just... Am I just gonna randomly die, or am I gonna disconnect? I better not randomly die. I'm gonna just disconnect. Oh. Well. Lovely, thank you. Can I get down long enough to actually pick up some of the shells? That is my request. May I humbly request the ability to do literally anything? Okay, at least they're also dying to my thorns. That is a bonus. That is a heavy bonus right now. I have just... Okay, that was my last arrow. Oh my goodness. Just no. Okay. Pick up. Because there's so many on the floor, I need an actual count of how many I still have to go. Okay. I just picked up like 20 from that. I should have brought more arrows with me. I'm like, no, I don't really use my bow. There's no reason for me to use my bow. I don't use my bow. I'm not a bow person. I've been a full combat person. No, I need my bow. My bow's been the best so far. My bow's been the best thing here. Oh, you know what I can do? I can instantly leave. I have enough pearls. You can open an end portal in the end and it will teleport you back home. And we're already back up. We're already back up to so many freaking shulkers. Let me eat the sandwich. I just need a moment where I can actually get rid of all the ones that are in here. Okay. Get rid of that. Trying to... Oh my goodness! You know, I'm just gonna have to leave through the ceiling. That's how this is gonna go. Is there anything above me? Yes, there is. This is hidden in the ground. There is no escaping. I need to just hold off all of these for long enough that I can put a block above myself. At least I got thorns on today. I literally added it today. Okay. Y'all suck, but at least I'm down here now. I need to keep an eye on my armor for this as well. I'm hoping eventually my thorns can get them, but they're just multiplying again. So I don't know about that. It was good while it lasted, but... I can't kill all of them fast enough. I literally can't. Okay. Come on. I feel like I have to axe this. If I can't bow, I have to axe. The problem is some of them are down there, which is making this way more difficult than it should be. Okay. So I have to do this while working around the other ones. Okay, okay. There's another one that spawned in. It hit me. There's another one. There's already two more. What do you mean? Okay. There's two. I am leaving this room. I am leaving this place. No, no, no. You are Death Trap. You all are Death Trap. I am leaving. I'm going to find my way out. Somehow, some way. We are leaving. We are going. No, you are not getting me stuck in here. No. I don't care how it is, how it was. We are leaving. This is not an exit. This is not an exit. I could really... It could be an instant leave if I don't have enough pearls. I never got enough Eyes of Ender for that. So I can't do that way. I have to actually just find the exit. No, you're not allowed to follow me. No. Don't you even think about it. Don't you dare. Don't you even ponder it. You are not allowed to do any such thing. Oh, there's the respawning too. Oh, this is the way I left. This is the way I left. We're leaving. We're leaving. I'm escaping. I'm escaping the hell. We're free. How long was I in there? How long was I in there? Ah, okay. Yeah, a ship. It's the best thing ever. There's a pyramid over there. We're gonna go to the pyramid. You can use my villages if you need to get some stuff first. We have all the stuff for... We just never got... It's only Sweeping Edge that we're met. Sweeping Edge and, Stars. I'm still reeling over these stupid fucking shulkers. We just never got our hands on Sweeping Edge or the Fire Aspect. Those are the only things I didn't get. I have over 2 stacks. Over 2 stacks of shulker boxes. Mostly from that one room. So if we ever need shulkers, go there. Just go there. Just go there. y'all feel about a pyramid? These are always booby-trapped. How y'all feel about a pyramid? If I can, I'm just gonna try and... Yeah, this is booby-trapped a bunch. Oh wait, hold on. I have the hammer. We're just gonna... I have fire aspect for 16. Ooh, nice. That would be fantastic. Also, this gives me a bunch of obsidian, which I love. Well, there it is. There we go. Do this. That way I don't accidentally trigger anything. And we're all good. Nice. Fantastic. Yippee, free loot. I want that actually. I don't know why I tried to immediately I don't want to get rid of that. I want to keep that. That's mine. Thank you. Oh, now we have plenty of eyes. If we want to go back there and do that route. Although it might be faster to go and find a stronghold. Or not strong. We do not want to find another stronghold. Find a ancient city. So we can loot that a little bit as well. Power 3, backstabbing, silk touch, efficiency, 5, loyalty. Don't care. What I care about is we're gonna go to an end ancient city. 2,000 this way. I will take it. Happily. Anything. Anything else. Anything over that stronghold. I am not going there unless I have a team. Or at least a freaking duo and a better sword. Or a sword in general, actually. Just a sword in general. How many Endermen have I even gotten? 3. Nothing has changed since about a half hour ago. Not a single bit. Let me check. Let me check around here. We're gonna check around here. Any bad boys? No? Okay. I would come help you clear if you needed. Yeah, we just need to build a team to fight off the stronghold. The end stronghold. Because that needs a team of at least somewhat geared out people to calm the Shulker menace. Whoop. I didn't even mean to land up here. But this is fine. This works. Thank you, thank you, thank you. End city map. Don't care. Paper. Protection, I'm breaking. Of course you are blocked off. Is there anything? No, it's just the worst end of the ship. Okay, great. Good to know. Fantastic. I love that. I have an almost full enchanted netherite sword and a full sword. Ooh, nice. I actually need to sit down and do things. I've been doing everything but sitting down and actually getting the things I need to get done, or I feel like should be higher in the priority list, but they have not been. Everything else has come first. And figure out this thing and solve that crash and do this thing. That is a city. I need an ancient city. Ancient city. We still have 1,500 to go. It is not close by. Anything for me? There is one down there. Excuse me. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna go on down here. It was down here, right? No, twist not. Where was I? Saw I was peeking out the corner of a thing. Was it over here? Thought I saw something. Where was it? Where? Oops. Not on this side. Has the Enderman left me alone yet? Yes. Seemingly so, for the moment. I just want to find out where that spawner is. And is it an Enderman? I think it was on the other side. I think it was over here, just on this. No, it's right there. It's right there. And are any of you? It can't tell from all the way. Oh, what do you mean? The longest shot in the world. Oh, there it is. I completely missed it. What do you mean I got hit by the pellet? Because that's insane. Boop. I have no idea what any of you are, but I know I'm gonna steal. You're all mites. You are all mites. Oh no, there was another Endy boy. I didn't even realize. Fantastic. So we got 4 Enderman spawners. That's enough for me to work with and do actually something good with it. No. What you got? Diamonds? Gunpowder, rope. Oh, diamond horse armor. Yeah, sure. I'll take some diamond horse armor. Leave the end stone behind. Don't need. Don't need it. I love so much. Very much. Very, very much. I hope you know. NullScape is amazing, and I'm so happy we have both NullScape and Incendium this season. And I can't wait for people to be just as comfortable with it as I am, because I'm just like, I got my stuff, I'm good. As soon as I have an elytra, I'm fine. There's a spawner over here. Oh! Please not look at a person. Thank you. Where? Whomst the dove? Twas, tis, is, it. Over here. Is it even worth? They're both mites. They were both mites. We don't need mites, we need men. I'm not even sure if I want mighty men. I just want men. That's gonna be a quote that's gonna bite me in the ass in the future. That's something that's gonna kick my butt. Twer, toomst, toomstedov. Toomstev? World load? I would be very grateful if done, if so. Whoop. At least there's a bunch of pills around. There's a bunch of gateways. Mine shaft, but not a man. Not a man to be found. I'm pretty sure. Where is it? These are a room. This is crossover, but they're mites. They're mites, not men. So small dungeon, common crossover with mineshaft. This is a freaking huge mineshaft. What the hell? Common crossover, but often mites, not men. Are you a men? You're a phantom. You're a mon, not a men. You may be the mon. You are not the man. Where? Toomstedov? Toomstov? There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, we can go right through that and it just teleports you back to the overworld. But I want to loot. I wish to loot. Oh yeah, and it spawns phantoms. That is a semi-important note. Impaling, lunge, fire aspect 2! I don't have to worry about it no more. Fantastic. Great. Although I might end up not put it. I need to just put it on a sword. Because the squirrel, it ain't working out. The squirrel ain't working out. And not worth it. It is not. The sword is the sword for a reason. Sharpness, we don't care. I'll take a ward. I'll take some bookshelves, actually. Bookshelves are very helpful. We love some bookshelves. Boop. Hey, boop. Damn it! Oh, my end crystals. I knew it was a thing that could happen. I assumed it was going to be a fairly rare thing. I'm curious just how rare it's going to be. Because I have no clue if that is an extremely rare one, or if that's just an uncommon or rare thing. I was thinking it was going to be like legendary status, but it seems to not be. It is not. It is not. Immediately found another. Okay. Lovely. So I have enough crystals to respawn the Ender Dragon, and we can go start exploring another way. That's great. Diamonds, pearls, fortune mending. Gonna want a mending for the sword we're gonna make. Oh, diamonds? No, I do not want diamonds in here. I want diamonds. Yeah, I need diamonds in there. You're right. I don't even need diamonds in this anymore. I don't know why I'm still keeping them when I'm not crafting stuff with diamonds anymore. I don't need to do that. Oh, that's right, yeah. I have a bunch of empty spots because I kept a bunch of stuff in here. Thank you. My only regret with jumping into the void earlier, my almost 100 levels. Yeah, that's a thing. That's part of why I was concerned. Oh, let's yoink yoink. Oh, I do still need to find Sweeping Edge. That is the other one. So perhaps, mayhaps. Books, I'll take book. And Diamond Horse Armor. I could be the #1 seller of Diamond Horse Armor. Like, you want transport? I got transport. You want a horse? You want an elytra? What you want? What you got? Need a path made? I can make a path. This is not where I need to be. Get me out of here. No. No, 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 Batman. Where? Tombstead of, is, was, Hans. There's that thing. I don't care about that. I care for your structures. Structure? Structure? Structuratory? There we go, structure. I could sell spears and food. Ooh. I need to get my greenhouse going. I'm living off of egg sandwiches. Saddle! I don't care about arrow, actually. I do care about saddle and armor, though. Arrows of instant health, strength, these are all good arrows. But not for my enemies. I need enemy arrows, not good arrows. Honestly, just give me plain arrows, we'll be good. Need food because of lunge enchant. That'll do it. Doink. More? Hey, Silence! You gave me a fucking hell first season. But I have it now. That one was such a butthead. I wish I recorded more of me dealing with that absolute nuisance. Thank you, Nightbot. And I believe that is all the structures. Did I get this one? You suck. I did not. I did not. Diamonds, pearl, piercing, channeling, don't care. And check out this place real quick. And then we should be good to go. Is this the one I literally just went in? Yes, it is. Alrighty. Into the portal after we raid the central thing. Stupid yellow won't. I just want to raid. Center. Is there anything really? Is it just normal? Hey, diamond block. No, it is not normal. You stupid thing. Don't even. I'm not even gonna bother with you. Diamond block. Diamond block. Diamond block. Diamond block. All the diamond blocks. Oh, the diamond block. Ah, I was on the wrong side. That's why. Well. Oh well. Diamond block. There's a respawn anchor. I'm not gonna mess with that. No, thank you. I do not feel like death today. Surprisingly. We only filled up, I was expecting to fill up way more. I only filled up 1 bag out of all of that. No. No. This way, that way, all the way to fucking Victory Town. You? Single golden apple. It's not a looter. Oh well. And into the bottle. Which teleports you back here. So I didn't have to travel all that way back. We save ourselves a bunch of time. Did I put anything in bundle? Yes, I did. I put a few things in the bundle. That I really didn't need to, but I did. And it's gonna set me to... Yep. We go to grab Nightmare. Oh yeah, I was dealing with lovely fun things while we were dealing with all the crashing and that stuff. In order to try and fix said crash, I did /kill entity, and I was trying to kill a specific entity in a spot. But apparently I didn't do the command right, so it did a /kill everything in the general area. So Stinky did die in that, so did all my sheep. Thankfully I have a really small render distance, so it didn't hit anything else, and I'm fairly far away, so it didn't hit anything else but my base. So all the sheep are gone. I had to re-get sheep. I had to redo the iron farm real quick. Not too much of a big deal. The most annoying thing out of all that, Stinky was a bit of a loss, yeah. But the plants I use, a Gardener's Delight, they're considered block entities. So it killed all of those. And I had to redo all of my plants. Because they're put in the pots in a very specific way that makes them something different. So I had to go and redo all those. And my painting, for some reason, my painting was gone again. I don't know why my painting keeps disappearing. But it really doesn't like my little autumn painting from a cause. I don't know why. Every now and again it likes to disappear. Anyway, before we unload everything and deal with stuff, this was kind of what we had going on last time. As you can see, left and right, I've done a little bit more. To this side, we're going to have a greenhouse. We already talked about that, and I did a small outline. I have now done a big outline, so we can have a nice, huge greenhouse. And I'm probably going to start putting animals along this back area. I'll have a barn farm type of thing. I need to look up some more ideas for that. I need to figure out some more things, but I would love to have animals along this back wall here. With horses still being over here, there will still be stable for horses here and a stable there, and we'll have horses being sold here. And once I get villagers done and moved out and moved into the castle, I'm gonna put even more horses in here, so there's probably gonna be like some of my best sellers will be in here, something like that. Some of the more trained ones. This side is quickly becoming my farm side. This is where the XP farm's gonna go. It's the exact same size as the greenhouse. And I've officially fixed Iron Farm. It works fantastic. I don't have to mess with it at all. It just works on its own. I just move that down a little bit more and move this up a bit, and we're not talking about that. I have not figured out how I'm going to cover that, so I literally just did this. I have no idea what I'm doing with that yet. Not a clue. Wait, did it... When I... It killed my armor stands. I didn't even realize. The /kill all killed my armor stands. Or the accidental /kill E everything. Killed the armor stands that were holding my fake chains. Okay. So, quite a few more spawners to add to the list, but there's a few endermen to work with as well. And a lot of endermites. Whole lot of endermite. But a lot of shulker shells, too, that I can start moving around. I want to have a... Okay, grab you. I want to have a specific thing for shulker shells. Which one of you... Use is empty. You're empty. You're fine. And slowly start figuring out what I'm doing with all this. And how. I'm gonna put the crystals in here. I think that's the correct call. And I so don't want to deal with this right now. You know what? I don't need to even get rid of all the stuff. I think this is fine as it is. We're an hour and a half. Honestly, that was my main plan for the day. It's just end busting and getting those Endermen. I didn't have any quite plans beyond that. I can go show off. We'll show off the, Oh, we can make the sword. We can go make a sword. So perhaps, by the end of the week, I can steal axe, steal a couple other people. Maybe I could steal lilac. That'd be great. Just have a bunch of us go deal with the very, very stupid... It's still in here. I don't know why I didn't think it would be. We can go deal with the very, very stupid shulkers. Sword. Scriddle is going to be placed in a place honor somewhere. You know, it gets permanent stay in the inner chest. It's permanent placement. And next we're going to grab a doink. I should have most of the stuff. I'm pretty sure I have an extra sharpness. Hello, welcome. We just wrapped up some end busting, and I'm gonna go fix up a sword because I've been using a frying pan. And it does not do the damage I wish it did. Oh, I really wish it did better. It does not. I need to deal with the stupid shulkers. Aha! Yeah. This is the server, yeah. Hi, doggo. I didn't recognize the username. Apologies. But yes, this is the server. This is the... I'm far out east of a couple others. I think I'm... Oh, well, I'm not the farthest out person. That'd be Shadow. Because Shadow's all... Yeah, Shadow's up there. I'm the farthest out east over here. And then there's Axe. Axo is Lilac. Wolfie's up here. There's a couple people about on the east side. I still need to sit down. I have several things I really want to do this week. I want to, one, sit down and do paths. And do a couple bridges about. Get some proper paths going. I do still need to do the Enderman. I've not had a chance to get it installed. I'm not sure whether it requires a launcher or what yet. It does use Modrinth. We use Modrinth and it's fantastic. What am I bringing you? Diamond block will do. I don't need a whole lot. I'll poke you if I get stuck or when you're free. I'm usually free. I'll try and bring up fairly early in the morning so I can usually respond back. Rarely I'm not able to respond. Look up Modrinth. Modrinth is fantastic. It's very easy to use. You literally download the mod pack and you can start running it. It's very beginner user friendly. There we go. I don't got... Oh, well, we got more books. We don't got to worry about that. And we got some emeralds, which is good. If I get real desperate... Oh, it isn't these guys, is it? It's a different guy that trades diamonds to emeralds. I think it's the armorer. Alright, let's see what I got. I have the mending and the fire aspect. This is an unbreaking we found. I also have... Is that the sharpness? And I'm trying to remember other enchants. We're gonna need to get looting. Do I have an enchantment chart? I have a lot of Minecraft charts. Guessing I download the app? Yes. Where is... I have a lot of Minecraft charts. Where is... Do I have an enchant? I would assume. Maybe I don't. I do not. I have a trading chart. I don't have a... I have an enchantment chart. Okay. Because that's definitely not the whole list. I know I sent the whole list to Axe, because she was asking. Oh, I'm missing Knockback as well. Knockback's another one. Yeah, it gets mad when I start opening up Discord. I just want to look at the pinned. I just want to look and see. No, I don't want to remove. There we go. Sword, sharpness, sweeping, fire aspect, knockback, looting, mending, unbreaking 3. Yeah, so that's basically all of that. We have most of it. I do need knockback. Thank you, Nightbot. Sharpness we got. I can't do looting. I can't do thorns on that. Unbreaking we have. Punch is not for this. Boop boop. And then do like so, like it so. Try and do this as cheaply as possible. 8 or 7. 19 or 15. There we go. And that's most 29. Okay. How we're gonna solve this? Can I trade with you, Neil? Yes, I can. Doesn't give me too much. There we go. A little bit more. Come on, please. A little bit more emeralds. Just a few more trades. Thank you, Nightbot. Are there any iron still sitting over here? Because I haven't decommissioned this one yet. Should I be aware of any limits on distance before I make the trek to the wilds? You should be good. Oh my goodness, hello. So this farm has still been running. Good to know. Very good to know. Cool. I love going way out when I make a settlement. You'll have to let me know how that goes, and if you, depending on how far you go. I did add a warp stone out near Shadow. I don't want warp stones super close to bases, so we're still relying on a bit of transport, and it feels good. I usually try and pick the closest water source, but this one is at exactly, or it's as close as I could get, to 4,000 and negative 5,000. And same thing goes, I couldn't do this for the east one. Unfortunately, the east one was just screwed no matter what I did. But the south one is perfectly at positive 2,000. I probably won't need a warp stone. If I needed it, I can make another highway if I suppose. I believe PB is working on Nether Highway, PB and Shadow. West is, yeah, the perfect negative 2,000. Then one up here. But the warp stones are just instant teleports. So they're nice to have at least a little bit of. Come on, get me over to the 29. Please. 28. Can you get me to 29? Pretty please. Pretty please. Pretty please. I just need a Sweeping Edge. Sweeping Edge 3. I don't have that one. Boop, boop. Oh no, you know, I'm just gonna condense those. That's gonna be the best choice. That is not what I did. There we go. Alright, thank you. I already read that one. Alright. Sometimes it's weird and it tells me I have a notification when I don't. It's been silly lately. Oh, the stupid for a while is giving me random notifications while I was recording. It stopped doing that. Maybe because I didn't have it connected right. I'm gonna have to find out. Because for a little while it was still giving me random notifications when I was recording. Like I got a words. Like I got a chat notification because I have it set up to be a little doot sound. But then I didn't have, I don't know. It was being weird. It was being silly, very silly. And that's the warpstone. Can I trade more? Thank you. So I'm definitely gonna need more XP. I'm probably gonna have to run back to the spawner. Oh, you know what I should do with some of this? We're gonna make a couple more anvils to replace the ones I've been destroying. Also, for some reason, the Twitch chat thing's being weird. Every now and again, it'll like kind of refresh it. Oh, it has like a banner at the top. That's what it's doing. And I'll move it a little bit. And so my eyes go over to the movement. Thinking, oh, there's another message. No. No, there's not. It's being silly. You see Shadow slowly making over. and trade. You can't trade. You can't trade. You can't trade. Give me. Thank you. I forgot about my delicious latte. It's cold. It's definitely cold now. But I have latte. It's nummy. Very nummy. I have a little mocha pot. It's basically just a tiny stovetop espresso maker. And it's amazing. You probably like mostly associate it with like camping gear. But you can just absolutely use it at home, and I love this thing. So I just made a tiny little bit of espresso. I have like a mix between Americano and latte, because I like doing that. Why do you call it a latte when they're so small? I don't know. Probably because of it's not a latte at all. What would be the opposite of a latte? A little tay? It's a little tay. Nummy. It's halfway between an Americano and a latte. Because I do add a little bit of hot water because I don't like adding so much creamer. But I have added creamer to it. Hello there. You got the goods? I forgot my spears are still pencils. Thank you. Been using this one. Continue. Let's see how much that is. 43! Time to go spam spawners. Nightmare. Ooh. What? Oh. That is... okay. Fair enough. You know what? Fair enough. I'm not gonna complain about that. Yeah. You're welcome. I'm also going to go into SMP totally blind, so I have no idea what mods are installed. I'm mostly vanilla gremlin. I can help out with that if you need any help. A lot of them are vanilla tweaks. So like our horses, you train them up, so they all start really bad. Except for the zombie and skeleton horses. Those ones have random stats still. But the normal base game horses all will start really slow. But the more you ride around on them, the faster they get. The End and Nether have some modded biomes. End has NullScape, and that makes it really beautiful to traverse, but you need an elytra. They all start stinky and poo brain. Yes, very much so. And the Nether has Incendium. Both of these all use vanilla blocks to make these biomes. And they're absolutely fantastic. I will warn, Incendium does have some overpowered structures. It has a Forbidden Castle, and it's named a Forbidden Castle for a reason. There are piglins with elytras, and rocket launchers, and netherite tools. But you can also find, ancient debris there. Why did I put a bunch of my spawners in there? I don't know why I did that. Spawners can be picked up. You do not need Silk Touch for them. And they will give you a spawn egg, which has allowed us, one, to be a little bit of cheaty. There's a reason I'm dropping all these. They still give XP when you break them. And they can break blocks. Yeah. Yeah. They're fun. They're so much fun. I'm trying to think. There's macaws. We have a bunch of macaws items, which is just like furniture, blocks and stuff, windows, doors. JEI on the right-hand side will tell you a lot of things going on. I forgot about the sharks! We need to make a shark. That's what we need to do. I need my blowhush. That's what we need to do. I want my blowhush back. We're gonna pause me gathering XP for the sword. For blowhush. Load? How long until I crash? There we go. We need... I don't want the blue whale. I want the soft toy shark. Minus 100 attack damage. Damn. Okay. Noted. 1 white wool, 1 pink dye, 4 light blue. So I need white. I'm gonna need more white. Pink. And I'm gonna need some blue dye. Blue. Light blue. I know about JEA because I played SebTech through a few times. As long as I have JEA, I can figure out most stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I know there's more stuff and there's more little tweaks. Big one. You can put a lot of stuff in the stonecutter. Like, you can even put glass into the stonecutter for glass panes. That is a huge thing that I try and make sure to remind everybody as much as possible. A lot of things you can put through blast furnaces. Except for the raw ore blocks, I missed that one. You can also put in logs into the stonecutter. There's a couple crossover recipes, and you can strip logs in the stonecutter. Trying to think. I know there's tweaks here or there of various things. What was I? That's what I was doing. That is in fact what I was doing. This. Light blue. Beautiful. And then extra piece of white dye. And then all of this goes into here. And then I make my beautiful shark. Light blue shark. My beautiful shark. And then we could actually put the shark into the stonecutter and get a bunch of different pride flag sharks. Where's the boy? Where's my baby? I guess I can do that one, but I was hoping I can. What option do I want to go with? What do I care about it the most right now? Do that? Which one am I? I don't remember. Which one? Which you think I remember? Which one is it? Pray tell. I think it's not too different, so it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, it's literally just the same. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna use the arrows one. There we go. That's perfect. Oh, I have the totem. There we go. Shark. I love him very much. I'm pretty sure, can you put him back in and change it to a different one if you want? Yes, you can. There's a bunch of different options. And then you can also just change it back to a normal. Or I think there's the gray. Gray R toy? Gray S. Oh wait, it's the Gray Rose. I think this is the one I want then. Which one do I care about more? That's genderqueer. Oh, they all have names. Fantastic. Yeah, I should have realized that. Gray Rose. Let me double check. What is? I've not heard that one. I know the Gray R and Gray S. Gray Rose? Ah, okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, we can use Gray Rose. That's the one I want. Gray Rose, perfect. This is the one I wanted. There we go. That's perfect. I learned something new. There we go. Beautiful. Nice. So I'm my little shark. He gets a spot in the inventory. For however long until I decide I need the inventory space. But he gets a spot for now. Now, how long until I get all the levels I need is the other question. Yep. Yep. All the levels, always. There's a lot of modded creatures as well. Well, not a lot. There's a good handful of some modded creatures. I have quite a few pets of them. Where are they? That's Syrup, a little sugar glider. I have a snow owl named Diorite. I have a little red-eyed mouse named Ruby, and I have another mouse named Celeste. And I have a dog. I have Obsidian chilling out over there under the table. He has a knife and saddlebag. It's adorable. Trying to think of other things. You can right-click harvest, and it can give you XP for harvesting. If you do so with a hoe, I believe it harvests a larger area, if I remember things correctly. I can't remember if that's something I had to configure or not. That's something that exists. Some stuff you'll see on my POV is specifically my POV, like, the cookie. There's a curse tag. Modrinth has a curse tag for its resource packs. And I was curious. And I found some mods I liked. Okay, finally. Sword. What shall you be this season? I don't remember what it ended up being by the end of the season. I think it was the sword of fuck you after the staff of fuck you. Well, so what do I feel like? What is on my mind in the moment? I'm trying to get rid of the crafting table, but apparently. It's my Skriddle, guys. It's definitely my Skriddle. It's definitely my Skriddle. For sure. Definitely. Yep. What are you talking? It's definitely my Skriddle. That shouldn't make me laugh as much as it does, but it does. It really does. Backup Elytra. Because I know how I am, just in case. Backup rockets to go with that. Pearls. At this point, I should start doing this. I don't plan on using my Elytra heavy. Do we have end? I don't think we have an Ender Chest backpack. That wasn't one that came with us. No, we do not have Ender Chest backpacks. So I'm not going to worry about that. And gold. This is all copper. So diamonds are probably going to end up right here. Or actually, if we're going to be using that as currency, it's going to go in here. And probably best to have some of that as well. My brain can't think. I'm too tired. I don't want to. I want to deal with this, but I don't want to deal with this. I want to deal with it because it happens to be in my inventory, but I don't want to deal with it right now. I'm gonna throw this in with all this stuff so I can actually organize it out in the end section. So when I did this, I did plan out different sections. There's the obvious that I've gone through. That's all the wood stuff. That's all the nature stuff. This middle section's kind of miscellaneous. This area's general blocks. This is another kind of miscellaneous, but like furniture items and such. Up here, that's end items. That's nether items. Bringing me a gift? Alrighty. I shall wait. Good thing you mentioned, because I am slowly wrapping things up. It's about time for me to end stream. Oh, I should show off the geode. I'm gonna show that off real quick. I'm gonna I don't know how much more I'm gonna do with it. I think it's just gonna exist from here on. But there's a little geode over here, and it took me way too long to make this waterfall effect, because I did it wrong the first several times. You need to have air underneath this for it to work the way I wanted it to. But look at my geode. I recently came through here and removed a bunch. But I do. It won't load. Do I have a screenshot that will load? No. No, I do not. Oh well. You could kind of see that. I have a screenshot of all the amethyst actually there. But it's beautiful. I ended up going with bamboo simply so it'd match with the scaffolding. But considering all the other colors here, it actually works fairly well altogether. I'm not too upset by it. It looks pretty cool. Oh, horrid time for a hiccup. It looks pretty cool. I'm rather happy with that. Let me make sure. Where did my mic go? Why can't I see my mic? OBS? You're being silly. There it is. Okay. It's just not quite showing me the levels all the time when I look over. It should be showing it working the whole time, but it's just being silly about it. Yeah? You okay? You okay, Dusty? Yeah? Okay. Oh, hello. Oh! Thank you! Thank you, thank you! I think first two things, the backpack and the Skriddle are getting upgraded. That has to be the first two things. I was given... I can remember where I put it. More arrows! Uh-huh. Where... I'm lagging. I can't open. Oh. Where tombst? Oh, sorry, Celeste. Move over a little bit. Thank you, sweetheart. There's nothing in those. These are the horses. Those are the chickens. And more chickens and random animals. Those are the goats and the frogs. Where did those get thrown? Thanks stars for jade, otherwise I would never find anything here. This is all copper. You're iron. Gold, lapis, amethyst, coal. Clay ball, brick. String, gunpowder, leather. Where did this get thrown? Poker shells. Minecart, TNT, obsidian. Homestead of? Homest? What did I do to myself? The one time the library fails because I don't remember what I did. Wait. Okay. I'm gonna safely assume if it's not in the bottom drawer, there's probably nothing. Okay, that's that omen bottles. Here they are. Okay. I know where they are now. And we're gonna make a bunch of copies of these. Because I can now. Make a whole bunch of copies. So I want to have plenty and I never want to have to worry about it ever again. And I probably have I have an upgrade right here. I need to actually craft this first. Okay, beautiful. Plenty of upgrades. Upgrades, people, upgrades. What? There we go. How much more room is that? A fair bit more. Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna have to reorganize all of this. I love when it does this to me. I have to redo Stinky's you know what? Stinky gets to have that horn. That's gonna go somewhere where he can exist for the rest of time. He gets to be somewhere special. I will make a new horn. Everything else translated fine. That's good. Stinky gets to also go permanently in the ender chest with the Skriddle. The obsidian goes with the obsidian. 19 upgrades should be more than enough for the rest of my stuff. I should have put away the netherrack when I had the chance. I even have... Do I... The horns were having problems last I knew. We can check and try with a different horn, but I'm pretty sure it's mainly the Sing ones that have been working. I only have Seek and Ponder. Is Ponder the good one? Ponder's alright. What was Seek? Was Seek the worst one? I think Ponder's the good one. Yeah. Ponder's the good one. Alright, the Nightmare. They have to be a name-tagged horse. There we go. Okay, must have fixed itself. Ponder! Sing. Beautiful. Nice. So now Nightmare has a little horn, and if I run over here... Ta-da! Ibu. Beautiful. That's a fantastic amount of space, too. I am very pleased about that. I very much so love that, so that's great. Nice. And I got a bunch of backup ender chests now that I can throw about the place. That's fantastic. Nice. And it's about time for me to head out. So we're gonna finish off there. We got a fair bit done. Let me try and think ahead of what's going on. I don't know. We'll probably definitely do a Sunday one, Sunday stream next weekend. I can't currently say about Saturday. There might be something happening Saturday. I don't know yet. It has not been decided. But we'll see. I have no clue what all is occurring. Or if it's gonna be a night. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. Nice catching you live. Thank you. It was nice seeing you. There we go. Good to see that's actually working. But that'll be it. The next stream will probably end up being next Sunday, maybe Saturday. The easiest way to keep track of that is following here on Twitch, or subscribing to the VOD channel, or even easier, go over to the Discord. Discord will give you our live notifications. And there's, of course, the YouTube, where the main video goes, and there'll be a cut portion of this in the video coming out the 24th. So I think if all that's said and done, that'll be it. Keep an eye out for that video. It'll have some fun moments and arguments on whether or not Serial is a Supernaut in there from us fighting the Ender Dragon this morning. I had a lot of people angry at me for bringing that one up. Anyhow, that'll be it. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.